Scene opens in the heart of San Salvador. The barrio is quiet. Too quiet. Children don't play here. Women don't hang laundry outside. Even the dogs seem to bark more cautiously. A black SUV crawls down a narrow alley, its tinted windows reflecting the graffiti-covered walls, most of them marked with a single symbol, MS-13. At the end of the alley stands a heavily guarded mansion, surrounded not by fences, but by men with rifles. Inside, Miguel Herrera lounges on a leather couch. His gold chains glisten under soft LED lights. Tattoos creep from his neck down to his fingers, symbols of death, allegiance, power. A gun rests beside his drink on the glass table. Across the room, a young man trembles as he places a suitcase on the table. He opens it. Bundles of cash stacked neatly. Miguel doesn't flinch, doesn't smile. He nods once. Another man walks in, whispers something in Miguel's ear. A moment later, the young man who brought the cash is dragged out of the room, screaming. A single gunshot echoes seconds later. Miguel takes a sip of whiskey. A block away, a corner store owner pulls down his metal shutter in a rush. His wife clutches their baby, terrified. They were late on their weekly payment to the gang. 10 minutes later, two masked men walk into the store. They leave behind a small black box with a fuse. The explosion shatters windows across the street. Flames engulf the shop. Screams fill the air. Back at the mansion, Miguel chuckles quietly. Justice in his eyes is swift and final. At a community basketball court, 5 teenagers in MS-13 shirts laugh and smoke under a street lamp. A police car drives by slowly, and then passes without stopping. Everyone knows this turf belongs to Miguel. Even the law does not interfere here. Flash to a different night. Inside a dimly lit room, maps and photos line a table. Miguel leans over them, flanked by 2 of his top lieutenants. He points at 3 red-circled photos, a rival gang leader, a prosecutor, a journalist. One by one, he gives the order. No emotion, no hesitation. Cut to execution scenes, quick stylized flashes. A man dragged from a car, screaming. A woman in her apartment, her door kicked in. A body dumped into a ravine at dawn. Miguel at a private party. Luxury cars parked in the driveway. Women in designer clothes, music shaking the walls. Armed guards patrol the roof. In the middle of it all, Miguel dances slowly with a glass in his hand. He's surrounded by sycophants, by killers, by women who fear him more than they love him. He doesn't laugh. He doesn't talk much. Power speaks for him. Later that night, alone in his room, Miguel stands shirtless before a mirror. His tattoos tell stories his lips never will. A skull with 3 bullets, his first kill. A crying mother with a knife in her back. Mara Salvatrucha por vida across his chest. He touches a scar near his collarbone, a reminder of a life that started in poverty and transformed into pure dominance. But change is coming. One of his trusted soldiers is already under pressure. Police have his family. A deal is offered. Freedom in exchange for one name, Miguel Herrera. The soldier breaks. The raid begins at dawn. Helicopters, armored trucks, streets sealed. Miguel's mansion is hit from all sides. Explosions tear through his gates. Guards are taken down within seconds. He tries to run, but the hallway is blocked. 2 officers pin him to the marble floor. His face, once untouchable, now pressed into cold tile. The gold chains are ripped from his neck. His gun never even left the nightstand. Mugshot. No more sunglasses. No more gold. No more throne. Just a white jumpsuit, a number, and empty eyes. Miguel Herrera, the man who once ruled a city through terror, is now headed to CECOT, a place built not just to imprison the body, but to destroy the soul. Day of transfer. Miguel Herrera stands barefoot, hands cuffed behind his back, head shaved, dressed in a white prison-issued uniform stained from the previous inmate. 2 heavily armed soldiers press rifles against his back as he boards the armored transport truck. Inside, Dozens of other prisoners sit chained together like livestock. Most stare at the floor. A few whisper prayers. No one dares speak Miguel's name. The steel door slams shut. The convoy begins its journey, miles outside the city, away from everything familiar. Hours later. The trucks arrive at a massive steel gate surrounded by concrete towers topped with snipers. Barbed wire curls like snakes around the compound. Drones buzz overhead. The sky is gray, the air heavy with silence. A sign above the entrance reads, CECOT, Centro de Confinamiento del Terrorismo. Here, the monsters are caged and the silence screams. The doors open. One by one, inmates are pulled out, dragged into line. Miguel steps onto the concrete, his eyes scanning the facility. 16-foot walls rise around him. No sunlight enters, no sound escapes. Prison guards in black riot gear, faces masked, batons in hand, shout orders in clipped military tones. Face down, hands behind your head, do not speak. Miguel doesn't move fast enough. A baton slams across his back. He falls. No one helps him. Not the guards. Not the other prisoners. This is CECOT. Everyone is alone here. Intake processing. The prisoners are stripped naked. Every tattoo is photographed. Every scar noted. Miguel's body tells a long, brutal story. But here, no one is impressed. He is hosed down, deloused, inspected like a diseased animal. Then, head down, arms locked behind his back, he is marched barefoot across a freezing concrete floor toward Module 6, the maximum isolation wing. The doors open with a hydraulic hiss. The hallway is lined with cameras, motion sensors, and steel doors with tiny bolted slots. The guards shove him into cell 23. The door slams shut. The cell, no window, no bed, no toilet, just a hole in the floor. A single flickering light buzzes overhead. The air smells like rust, sweat, and mold. On the wall, scratch marks, dozens of them. Lines crossed through like days, or lives. Miguel stands in the center, breathing heavily. His shoulders ache. His pride burns. He opens his mouth and says nothing. No one to command. No one to fear him. Only silence. Day 3. He hasn't slept. Not properly. Every 20 minutes the lights turn off, then flash back on. Every hour a metal slot opens in the door. Guards stare in, say nothing, then slam it shut. 3 times a day, a tin tray is pushed in. Cold rice, unseasoned beans, no spoon. Miguel eats with his fingers, like a dog. Day 7. His beard starts to grow, his nails jagged. He tries to remember the names of his men, the neighborhoods he ruled, his mother's face. But the silence crushes thought. He screams once, just once. The next hour the guards come, no words, just fists, a black eye, a bleeding lip, a swollen rib. They leave. Day 11. He talks to the wall now. The wall doesn't answer. Day 14. A guard opens the slot and throws in a tiny crumpled photo. It's Miguel's mugshot. Someone's drawn horns on his head. He stares at it for an hour, then rips it into pieces. Day 18. He's pulled out for reconditioning, forced to kneel for 6 hours under fluorescent lights. No movement. If he shifts, a baton lands hard on his shoulder. Miguel's body shakes, not from fear, but from fatigue, humiliation, hunger. The man who once controlled armies of killers can barely hold his head up. Day 23. A new prisoner is thrown into the cell next to him, younger, wild-eyed. At night, the young man whispers, "You're Miguel, right? Miguel Herrera?" Silence. "I heard you were a god." Silence. "They broke you too?" Miguel says nothing, doesn't move, doesn't blink. The lights go out. The air turns cold again. He's still alive, but something is gone. The gold, gone. The army, gone. The fear, gone. The voice, fading. Miguel Herrera, once El Salvador's most feared name, is now just C6-2311, a number on a list. CECOT doesn't kill you with bullets. It buries you inside your own mind until you forget who you were. 4 a.m. screams echo from the far end of Module 6. Not words, just raw, hoarse animal howling. No one reacts. Not the guards, not the prisoners. Everyone is used to it. Miguel lies flat on the cold floor, shirtless, face pressed into the concrete, arms behind his head. This is the daily morning position. A siren blares. Metal doors unlock one by one, not to let anyone out, but for visual inspection. 4 guards walk past every cell, scanning each body. No movement is allowed. If a prisoner blinks too long, breathes too loud, punishment follows. One prisoner in cell 28 twitches. A guard stops. 5 seconds later, the door opens. 2 guards drag the man out by his ankles. He doesn't scream. He already knows what's coming. 4:45 a.m. Food arrives. A single plastic tray pushed under the cell door. White rice, dry beans, no salt, no utensils. Miguel doesn't eat immediately. He stares at the food like it's a puzzle. His stomach growls, but he's not hungry. Hunger has turned into nausea, into silence, into stone. Eventually, he scoops a handful into his mouth. Some falls to the floor. He licks his fingers, not for taste, just instinct. 6 a.m. Shower time. 10 prisoners per section are escorted, barefoot, hands behind their backs, eyes down. No talking, no looking around, no turning your head. The shower room isn't private. It's a large concrete box with a dozen rusted pipes hanging from the ceiling. Cold water shoots down in uneven bursts. No soap, no towels. One guard watches, holding a baton. Another films everything with a mounted body camera. Miguel doesn't speak, doesn't blink. His body is covered in bruises now. His spine shows through his skin. The gold, the luxury, the silk sheets, they feel like memories stolen from another man's life. 7:30 a.m., back in his cell. Lights stay on 24 hours a day. There's no night here. Time doesn't pass in CECOT. It suffocates. Miguel sits in a corner, his knees pulled to his chest. His fingers rub a line into the concrete. Slowly, repetitively. He's been scratching the same line for 5 days now. On the wall, 43 marks. He's not even sure what they count anymore. Days, meals, beatings. 9 a.m. group punishment. 4 prisoners in Module 6 refused to eat the previous day. As a result, everyone is denied lunch. The guards scream from the hallway, "No food today. You can thank your brothers." Miguel doesn't react. Neither do the others. But one man in cell 31 starts banging his head on the door, again and again and again. Blood begins to smear down the slot. A guard walks up, slides open the viewing window, and laughs. They let him bleed for hours before removing him. 12 p.m., silence. Not peace, just quiet so heavy it presses on your chest. Miguel lies on the floor, arms folded over his eyes. Not to sleep, but to hide from the ceiling light that never shuts off. He whispers something, a name, maybe his mother's, maybe his own. He doesn't remember anymore. 2 p.m., sudden inspection. Without warning, guards storm Module 6, batons banging against cell doors. Hands on the wall, shirt off. Doors open one by one. Each prisoner is yanked out, stripped, lined up against the corridor walls, legs spread, heads down. One by one, they're searched, hit, scanned, mocked. Miguel stands with the rest, quiet, expressionless. One guard slaps the back of his head. Miguel doesn't move. The guard slaps him again, harder. Still nothing. Eventually, the guards move on. Miguel blinks. Just once. 4 p.m. A scream, from the far end again. Same man? Maybe. Or maybe another one cracked today. Someone always does. 6:30 p.m., final meal. Same tray, same food, always cold, always bland. This time, Miguel forces it down fast. He knows what happens if you leave food. The rats come, not through cracks, but through the drain hole in the corner. He's seen it. Last week, a man in cell 19 tried to fight them. They bit through his leg. He cried for help for hours. No one came. 8 p.m., lights still on, still buzzing. But Miguel is curled up on the floor now, not asleep, but frozen. He dreams while awake, of rooftops, of guns, of women, of respect. Then a door slams. The sound jerks him back. This is reality now, and tomorrow it starts again. CECOT doesn't beat you with chains. It beats you with routine, with light, with silence, with sameness. It breaks the part of you that believed you were something, even a monster. Washington, D.C., United Nations office. A folder lands on the table, thick, heavy. Inside, photographs, medical reports, internal testimonies leaked from inside CECOT. Prisoners with broken ribs, solitary confinement stretching over months, cells with blood-stained walls and no mattresses, guards forcing inmates to kneel on concrete for hours without movement, food deprivation, psychological torture. One photo shows an inmate curled in a fetal position, hands over ears, screaming in a silent cell. No response. The page is turned. San Salvador, presidential press conference cameras flash. Reporters raise their hands. El Presidente, one asks in Spanish. Are you running a torture facility? The president smiles, calm, controlled. CECOT, he says, is not a prison. It is a message. He holds up a photo, a street corner once run by gangs, now peaceful, clean. No more blood, no more fear. The people sleep at night because the monsters no longer do. Applause from his ministers. But outside the building, protesters chant in unison, Derechos humanos, no más abuso. Human rights, no more abuse. Paris, Amnesty International headquarters. A young intern studies satellite images of CECOT's layout. No recreational yards, no natural light access, bare minimum medical facilities, thousands packed into isolation modules. She scrolls through testimony. I haven't spoken to my son in over 6 months. My brother went in healthy. Now he's mentally broken. They beat you if you sleep during the wrong hour. She pauses on one line. This prison wasn't built to correct. It was built to erase. Inside CECOT. Module 6, Week 8. Miguel sits against the wall, his beard now thick, his ribs clearly visible. He no longer draws on the floor. Doesn't count days anymore. From the next cell, the young inmate whispers, They're watching us through the toilets. Silence. They test gas on some of the guys. Knockout stuff. Still silence. Have you noticed how the food smells weird lately? Miguel doesn't answer, but he's listening. Outside the prison, a mother's plea. An old woman kneels at the outer gate of CECOT. Her hands tremble as she holds a letter. A plea for medical help for her son, a former gang runner, now suffering seizures inside the cell. A soldier tells her to leave. She stays. After 3 hours, she's dragged away. The letter is thrown in a garbage bin. Anonymous drone footage, leaked online. A video appears online, grainy black and white, overhead view, inmates crawling on their stomachs across the yard, guards barking commands. One man collapses. He's beaten, then dragged. The clip is just 47 seconds, but it sets fire to the internet. Hashtags explode. CECOT, El Salvador torture camp. Human rights black site. Inside a TV studio. Live debate. On one side, a government official. These are not innocent men. They raped, killed, extorted. You want mercy for monsters? On the other, a human rights lawyer. Justice is not revenge. Starving and torturing people doesn't make the streets safer. It makes us worse than them. The host leans forward. But crime has dropped by over 50%. The people are safer. The lawyer replies, and how many innocent people were swept up in mass arrests without trials? Silence. The debate ends. But the question lingers. Miguel's cell. Night 60. He dreams. He's back in the city. Rooftops. Laughter. Power. A woman's voice calls his name. He turns. A spotlight floods his face. He wakes up, gasping. The lights are still on. They never go off. London. International Criminal Court Inquiry. A formal inquiry is opened. Investigators request access to CECOT. El Salvador's government declines. National security. A former guard leaks an internal memo. Psychological containment is part of the strategy. No emotional connection. No names, no mercy. The leak includes photos, internal surveillance screenshots. One shows Miguel, shirtless, expression blank, kneeling in a puddle of his own urine. It circulates globally. Millions see it. Some weep, others say, "Good, let them rot." CECOT, Observation Tower. A guard looks out over Module 6, rows of motionless bodies, some lying, some sitting, all silent, all broken. He lights a cigarette. "Another peaceful night," he mutters. Behind him, a screen flickers. Live feeds from 300 cells, not a word, not a sound. Final scene. Outside, families still wait. Inside, the silence continues. The question is no longer, is this justice? The question is, at what cost? Day 90, CECOT Module 6. Miguel no longer speaks. His lips are dry, cracked, his eyes hollow. He hasn't heard his own name in weeks. Not from guards, not from the man in the next cell, not even from himself. He is C6-2311, a number etched into paperwork and whispered into radios. In this place, identities don't erode, they are deleted. 5 a.m., same floor, same tray, same tasteless food. This morning, he doesn't eat. A fly lands on the rice. He watches it crawl. When it flies away, he slides the tray aside. 6 a.m., 2 guards approach. Their boots echo down the hallway. Cell 23 unlocks. Miguel doesn't look up. One guard kicks him in the thigh. He flinches, but slowly, without urgency. Time for inspection. Miguel rises, step by step. Movement slow like an old man. He holds his arms out, stands against the wall. Hands spread, face forward, eyes dead. Outside, control room. Dozens of monitors display live feeds from inside every module. A technician zooms in on Miguel's face. "Still no outbursts," he says. "Protocol holding," another replies. "Mind fracture in full effect." Elsewhere in El Salvador, new construction zone concrete is poured. Steel beams rise. Another CECOT facility. Bigger, deeper, more isolated. Plans show underground cell units. No natural light. No exits except by military escort. Designed for complete sensory deprivation. The blueprint reads, Level 7, Cognitive Suppression Unit. Back in Module 6, Day 93. A prisoner in cell 29 starts whispering to himself, then laughing, then screaming. He claws at the wall, blood under his nails. The guards don't come. The scream fades into sobs, then silence. Miguel doesn't move. He has heard this before, 10 times, 20, maybe more. Every man here cracks eventually, only the speed changes. Newsflash, Miami, USA. A senator speaks on national TV. El Salvador has figured it out, she says. They've shown us how to break organized crime. No luxury prisons, no second chances, just containment. A headline scrolls across the screen. CECOT model being studied by 3 U.S. states. Miguel's cell, Day 97. Something strange happens. He begins to forget his own voice, not just the sound, but how it felt to use it. His throat vibrates, but nothing comes out. He tries to remember a name, his mother, a friend, just one. Nothing. His memory is a fog. The cell becomes his whole world. The walls are reality. The silence is law. The light is the only God now. New York Times article. The super prison era has begun. The piece opens with a photo of CECOT's gates. Below, a line of prisoners, shaved heads, white uniforms, eyes down. The article reads, Critics call it a modern concentration camp. Supporters call it the only thing that works. Crime is down, fear is gone. But at what moral price? In the sidebar, a quote from a former psychologist who visited CECOT. This isn't rehabilitation, it's erasure. CECOT doesn't fix criminals. It buries them inside themselves. Module 6, Day 100. Miguel is pulled from his cell, dragged down a hallway. He doesn't resist. He is taken to the mirror room, a chamber with bright lights and one-way glass. Two officials sit behind the mirror taking notes. Miguel is told to stand, told to state his name. He blinks. Nothing comes. He's told again. He whispers something. Inmate number 2311. They write it down. Emotional compliance. Complete. Prison chapel. Empty room. No benches. No preacher. Just a cement cross carved into the wall. Miguel is placed there for reflection time. He stares at the cross, not because of belief, because it's the only shape in this place that isn't square. After 20 minutes, he is taken back. Evening. Cell 23. Lights still on. From the next cell, a voice calls softly. Do you remember your first kill? Pause. I used to see his face when I tried to sleep. No response. I don't even remember his name anymore. Miguel closes his eyes. For a moment, the voice sounds familiar, like someone he once knew, maybe himself. The future arrives quietly. A government brochure is published. CECOT, National Safety Through Absolute Control. Inside, photographs of concrete hallways, perfect order, emotionless inmates. A new slogan: no escape, no mercy, no return. CECOT, from above. A silent city of cages. Inside, 40,000 inmates. No riots, no voices, no movement, just breathing, just waiting, just forgetting. Miguel Herrera was once a god of the underworld. Now, he is a shadow among shadows. Not dead, just erased.